investigating. I love resolving issues. I love finding out about people, helping them the best I can, and creating a better place for people. So that's been my purpose, is to do those things. And sometimes when I have a day and I think, what am I doing today? Why am I doing this? What's this all about? I go back to my purpose. I love to help people, to investigate, to solve problems, and to be there and to guide them through to have a better life. One of an incident when I was a kid, I was would have been about 12, and this is probably what set me on that path of wanting to help people forever. Can't save everybody, but you can give it a good try. My father had a business. He was a plumber. He had a partnership with another guy who was a great guy. Everybody loved him and he worked really hard. Anyway, he died. He was only about 52 and he died young, and it was devastating for my parents. But what was more devastating was he'd never paid his taxes, and as a partner my dad had to pay the taxes. He then had to remortgage his house and worry about how he was going to pay that. He got another job. My mum got 2 jobs to pay off somebody else's debt. I remember seeing him at the bottom of the stairs and thinking, fuck. I was 10, probably didn't think back. Oh my God.
Yes, you did.
What are we going to do? I had about £10 in the bank, not going to go very far. There was nothing I could do apart from watch my mum and dad struggle to pay this debt off. And they did. Hats off to them, they did, and we had a good life. But I always remember thinking, I don't want anybody to feel like I felt when I was that age. And I don't want anybody to feel like my mum and dad felt. Going through that when they felt that nobody was there to help them. They didn't get the right advice and they had to do it on their own. So I went into jobs where I was the helper, and that's what I do. So I come to Australia, I thought, oh, I don't want to join the police because it's full of red tape and bureaucratic shit. So I'll go into real estate, which is full of red tape and bureaucratic shit. But at the end of the day, I do what I love. I investigate, I communicate, I solve problems day in, day out. I don't know what the next day is going to bring. One day I can wake up and there's a building on fire, and it has happened, 5 o'clock in the morning. Check your phone, check the news, look on the news, there's a property. I only took it over on Thursday evening, 5 o'clock it settled. Supposed to pick up the paperwork on the Friday. The paperwork wasn't ready, we were told to pick it up on Saturday. 5 o'clock Saturday morning, the building was on fire. The owner was overseas. I'd never met him. I was appointed the agent. I didn't know any of the tenants. I didn't have any information. I got down there at 5 o'clock in the morning and I went into, I'm a police officer mode. Okay, how do we do this? We're going to investigate. So I found the tenants, we worked through it. It took 6 months of hard slog to get through that time of my career. Probably one of the hardest that I dealt with until COVID hit, and then that was really tough. But I still investigated, sorted out problems, resolved issues, communicated, and brought people together, because that's my purpose. What's your purpose? Why do you do what you do? And every purpose has a why. You've heard what my why was. My why was my parents having to take on somebody else's debt. But what's your why? You can't stay doing a job for long if you don't have a purpose and you don't know what your why is, because you won't enjoy it. And I enjoy doing what I do. So what do I do? I'm a commercial real estate agent. It sounds really shit boring, but believe me, it's not. So I help investors, owners, find properties through the super fund or just through their own personal funds as an investment. And I also help manage the property to make sure it performs as an investment. And I help people like you who are going out in business, who want to actually find somewhere to have their business. I'm the girl that you'll come to and say, does this lease look alright? Does this price look alright? Is this area good? Will I survive? I do so much research because I'm an investigator and I don't lay any stone unturned. I was once called a bulldog. I think that was a good term because it means when I've got something, I won't let go until I get the answer. And that is what you need to do in business. You need to look for answers. You need to be there for your clients and you need to find out what they want, and then you need to help them get what they want. So when I was in the police, there was interviewing techniques for criminals and for victims. So there were very different techniques. I wouldn't go into a victim and go, right, okay, tell me, where were you yesterday, 10 o'clock? Whatever. So I wouldn't do closed questions with a victim, I'd do open questions. And it's the who, what, why, where, when, and how. Who are you? What do you want? Where do you want to be? How do you want to get there? And why do you want to get there? I could say to Jeanette, What time did you get up this morning? Great. No report whatsoever, do you think some crap? Right. Naomi, tell me about your morning. A little bit better, but normally, for the normal situation, an open question would create a rapport, and that person will tell you more, and you just sit and listen. One of the great experiences I learned in the place and in commercial real estate is to listen. We're all good at talking, and we're coming up here saying, sell yourself, tell everybody what you do. I do commercial real estate, but that is not what I do. What I do is everything in the background, the investigating, the talking, the communicating, and finding people places where they want to be, and helping owners have a building that's going to act as an investment. A commercial property is an investment, but it's a business. So for that owner, that property has to work as a business. It can't just sit there having no rent increases, having no maintenance done, and having no tenants, because that's not an investment and it's not a business. The business has to operate. In a commercial property has contracts. There's a lease in place between the owner and the tenant. It has maintenance contracts with contractors. It has financials, there's income and expenses, there's budgets. It has all the things that a business has, and it has to make a profit. It doesn't have to be a huge profit, but it certainly has to make one, because otherwise Mr. Bank's knocking on that door and saying, thank you, I'll take that back. Takes me back to my mum and dad. That's my purpose. I do not want anyone to have the risk of losing their property or losing their home or losing their livelihood because they weren't given the right advice. So a commercial property has all of those things, and that's why I do it. And now I've kind of lost my way, so bear with me 1 second. Where am I? I'm nearly at the end. I'm nearly at 10 minutes. Right, I'm going to give you a myth. So there's one of the myths is that property owners are rich. Yes, a lot of them are, or some of them are, but the majority are not. 95% of my owners have mortgages on the property. They risk losing that property if that property doesn't perform. And out of that 95%, I would say that 85% of them actually work full time. They've either got businesses or they've got jobs. They're not sitting at home cashing in. And a lot of them are elderly, so they depend on that income. There's no other income for them. They're self-funded retirees. So if they don't get rent in, they got no money, they can't live off it. So the myth about property owners being rich is not true. They're like everybody else. But the difference is that they took a risk that a lot of people don't take. They bought a property, and sometimes when the market is not like it is, which is crazy, there's no stock, you can't get stock. But when it's not like this and that property sits empty for a period of time, they have to find the money to pay that mortgage, and they have to find the money to live on. So whilst it's good and everybody said, oh yeah, they're just creaming it in, there's been many, many years where they didn't. And they nearly lost the properties. People do lose the properties, but not one of mine has lost the property. And not one of my tenants lost their business during COVID. Not one. Because I investigated, I went to see them, I sat with them, I looked at their financials, I went through a plan, and I set a plan about how they could work with the owner. And those two worked together. Every one of my tenants is still there. Every one of my owners still has their property. That's me. And I guess I'm good on my 10 minutes.